Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So our today's video is going to be about the Anglo-Saxon period of English literature as well as the English language. So this period is very much crucial for the students to know, because if we have a good knowledge or if we have a good comprehensive idea about this chapter or this period, so it is where the seeds of evolution of English literature or the English language is embedded. So this is very much crucial for the readers, although it is not incorporated in your syllabus. So let's talk about in this video we are going to talk about the literary characteristics as well as the historic background of this period. So without any more delay, let's delve into the depth of this chapter. So first of all, we are going to talk about the historic background of this place. So the historic background of this period. So now let's take a look at the book. So first of all, after the Scottish left the particular place, Britons were the one who used to live there. So that is why we call this period as the Briton period, because they lived there from 55 BC to 410 AC, approximately 350 years they lived there. So we call this period as the Briton period. So this at the Briton, so we called Britain. So some part of the Britain is known as Britain, or the old name of England was Britain, because of the fact that Britons were the one who lived there by their own, and the word Britain has been derived from the word Brighton. So we call this, we call Britain as Brighton. So as Brighton was living there for actually 350 years, so after that period they sought help from a Germany group because of the bitter rivalry as well as the sporadic situation that was taking place in Great Britain. So they sought help from a Germany group who came in Britain with three tribes, or that was so that Germany group was consisted of three tribes: Angles, Saxons and Jutes. So they predominantly lived there for approximately 600 years, from 410 AD to 1066 AD. So this period is called the Anglo-Saxon period. So Jutes were actually less in population at that time, and Angles and Saxons were the main tribes of that time. However, Angles were the dominant ones. So that's why England is known as England, because it has been derived, or the name England has been derived from the word angled land equals to England. So that's why we know England as England, because of angled land, because of Angles were the one who used to live there, or who used to dominate at that time in Great Britain. So that's why we know it as angled land as England. So they had, as I have said that, so they used to live in a mixed culture with the Britons, Angles and Saxons as well as the Jutes. So they had the mixed culture. That's why they had their different dialects, their different words, phrases, etc. So we know it as Old English because of the fact that because of the mixture of their own dialects, own words and phrases, that is what we called as the Old English. So as I have talked about the historic background, so there was no such printing press, or some printing presses and etc. So how did we know about this historic background of that particular time? Because thanks to historian Saint Bede, he was the one, or he took the initiative to give us the comprehensive idea or the comprehensive knowledge about that period of time, or the historic background of this time. So now, as I have said the historic background, so that is the brief historic background of this place. So now let's talk about the literary characteristics of that time. So I have said in the previous slide that at that time that England was actually torn between the bitter rivalry, anarchy, war, violence. A sporadic situation was taking place everywhere in Britain. So that's why we call this period as the dark period or dark age of the history of English language as well as of the history of Britain. So they were actually so much engrossed, so much involved with involved in rivalry, in fighting, in war. So they didn't get the chance to write, or they didn't get the chance to contribute for the literary works. However, there were some in number, but still we find it very much difficult to find because of the lack of printing press, because most of them were actually in the form of manuscript or in the oral transmission. So most of them got lost due to this problem. So that's why we find a handful of literary works from that time. So at the time there were two streams of the literary works or the poetry. So that time the long narrative poetry used to be done. So there were actually two main streams of the literary works. One is the heroic poetry, another one is the religious poetry. So in the heroic poetry, it is actually influenced by the Anglo-Saxon people, because they were the pagans. So they didn't believe in, so they were the atheists. So they didn't believe in God, Christianity, etc. But they were the strong believers. However, they were the strong believers of heroism, knight, etc. So they used to write novels. So they used to write poetries on the heroism or on the heroic background. So they were the believers, so they were the firm believers of heroism. And Beowulf is also a great instance of that of that particular stream. Beowulf is a very good example of that. On the other hand, we talk about, or we take a look at the religious poetry. So religious poetry at that time, it is a very important note that I want my viewers to take a note of that. That at the time, Saint Augustine took the initiative to spread Christianity among the people. So that's why the Britons were the first inhabitants of England. So they were actually influenced by the Christianity. They were the believers of Christianity. So they used to write poetries, etc. about Christianity, humanity, as well as about God, about Bible, etc. So that is what we call as the religious poetry. So this religious poetry was actually influenced by the Britons, because they were the theists of that time. Yes. So I have previously said that long narrative poetry was something that was very much used, or that was the only thing that used to be done at that time. Apart from that, there were no such concept of rhyming scheme and rhyming pattern. Instead, they used alliteration a lot. So they had the concept of using alliteration instead of the rhyming schemes. So as I was talking about, or I was giving you a citation about the Beowulf, about on the heroic poetry. So now let's talk about what is a Beowulf. So unfortunately, the author of Beowulf is still unknown to us. However, the Beowulf was the protagonist of the poetry, and he had a fight with the monster. After killing the monster, again he had a fight with its mother, and to vanquish or to conquer the land or a particular land. So it actually helps us to take a look at how heroic Beowulf was. So that's why it is actually a good citation of a heroic poetry. So this heroic poetry. So now, as I have said that at that time all the poetries were actually in a manuscript version. So how did we get the look about, or how did we know about the poetries like Widsith, Beowulf, as I previously said? So how did we know about that? So at that time, or in the 8th century, King Alfred, he was a learned king, and he was the king of Wessex. So Sussex, so that used to be an important part or an important place of England. So he was the king of Wessex, and he took the initiative in 8th century. He took the initiative to collect all the poetries that were scattered over the period of time at that time. So he took the initiative to collect that and to assemble that in a chronological order in a book named Anglo-Saxon Chronologica. So he was also a trailblazer or a pioneer for the prose writing, because he was the one who introduced us with the prose writing. So his name is very much important and very much crucial for the history of English literature, because he was the main contributor, or he was the trailblazer of prose writing. So I think, yeah, so that were there were again some names of the poetries that were very much important, or that were notable of that time. So I would give that in the description box. So that was Cynewulf, as I previously said, that Cynewulf was also a very important name at that time. Apart from that, we know about the Sedman. Sedman is also a very important name, even though we don't know, or we don't know many of the authors' name, but Cynewulf, the name of Cynewulf and Sedman, these two names were very much, or these two names are very much important for this period, the Anglo-Saxon period, because they were the main contributor. And Cynewulf was actually a religious author, or he used to write the religious poetry. So I think that's all about this Anglo-Saxon period. So that is actually a brief discussion of the Anglo-Saxon period that I have given you, or that I have shown you with the diagram and with some important notes that are shown on the board. So I think that was quite helpful for you, and I want my viewers to give your valuable feedback in the comment section. And also, if you liked my video, why not just sharing my channel, and also clicking on the subscribe button as well as the bell icon, because if by doing that you will be up to date with my channel, and also you can share with your friends as well. And if you have find and if you have found anywhere or any place where I was lagging behind, please do comment on the comment section. That is open for you. So I think that brings us to the end of the video and end of this lesson. Till then, it's goodbye. Have a nice day. We will meet in the next video on the next chapter. Bye.